This is the plaintiff, Laura Faucheur. She says the defendant sold her a very sickly bulldog who eventually had to be put down because it wasn't able to swallow food. She even advertises how healthy her dogs are, which is an out-and-out lie. In fact, she has had a history of selling sick dogs, cheating people out of money, and the buck is going to stop right here. She's suing for $4,643.44, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Chris Clark. She says the plaintiff's dog did not have to die. The plaintiff chose to put the poor thing to sleep. She has no responsibility in this matter and can't believe that in this day and age, someone could sue someone who was completely innocent of all charges and therefore owes nothing. She's accused of selling a very sickly dog.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Laura Faucheur?
Yes.
You are suing Chris Clark for $4,643.44 that you say you are out as a result of her selling you a dog that had a congenital defect.
That's correct.
All right, what happened here?
I had met with Chris. I talked to her twice on the phone. We really liked her a lot. She told me she had 30 years experience. My husband and I went out and met with her. She had a beautiful facility, very knowledgeable.
You're a dog breeder?
Yes.
Okay.
Very
What kind of dogs?
Bulldogs.
English bulldogs.
English bulldogs, okay.
We went out, the dogs were beautiful, they were well nourished, they were happy, they were healthy. I mean, she had a beautiful facility. She showed us pictures of dogs that she had that had been in books and ribbons, and she told us she had show dogs. We explained to her we didn't want a show dog, we just wanted a pet. That's really all we were looking for, and she said, that's fine. She said, you know what, everybody is entitled to a healthy dog. We asked about congenital diseases. She said, nope, I've never had any problem. None. We were like, okay, great. She did explain to us that bulldogs do have, sometimes they get cherry eye, they can have hip problems, sometimes skin rashes. She's like, but that's all normal stuff, and if you're willing to understand that with the breed.
Are they more sickly than other breeds?
Yes, it says that in every dog book that you read. That
they're
They have 52 genetic defaults.
There's 52 identified genetic defaults that are in
a bulldog.
Bulldogs that are not in other breeds.
Right.
Wow.
They're all surgically curable, most of them. Like cherry eye, that's a...
Oh, you gotta really like the bulldog. Can I see I mean, I think I know what a bulldog looks like. I went to Georgetown, but
I have
tell
pictures.
Me, like, I mean, what? I don't know. I guess it's not for the faint of heart
this
then,
one
I guess,
right here is Stevie.
Okay.
And then this one right here is Stevie running. And when you see him running, you'll see why we took Stevie.
Okay. Why? What?
Look at him. He's the big one in the front.
Oh, he's so cute.
It's actually one of my favorite pictures.
Is that the picture I took and sent to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So we met with Chris. We told, she said, they can have cherry eye, they can have hip dysplasia. We said, yep, that's fine. But she said, I have
So you bought Stevie, and this was when?
June 16th.
June 16th of 2009, you pick up the dog. Okay.
Yep.
Can I see the paperwork from the sale?
Now, I also have all the DNA certificate, the microchip information that Chris installed in him at that time.
You say that when you picked out, I saw this little goofy-looking white dog and I wanted him, and Chris said, no, you don't. You want this one, Steve.
Right. Because the little white one, when we explained to her what our family situation was, she said the little white one. Well, we have two other dogs, and she said the little white one is devil. She's like, really? She's like, he's just the devil. She said he's cute, but he needs to be in a one-dog family. She said Stevie, who we ultimately named Stevie, she said is a much nicer dog, better temperament. She's like, he's beautiful. She's like, he could even be show quality.
Okay.
That's why we took him on her advice.
How much did the dog cost you?
$3,500.
Wow. Okay, do you have paperwork for the sale? Let me see your copy of the paperwork. All right, so what happens with Stevie?
He started to get sick.
When did Stevie start to get sick?
It really, I would have to really say it was around end of November, beginning of December, and we thought it was a food allergy.
Okay.
Talked to the vet. When I talked to Chris, she said, you know what? She said, my dogs do better on, low-protein foods. So she talked to me about food. We tried some new food. Then in March, he started to get really sick and vomiting a lot. I couldn't stop it. So I brought him to the vet, and my regular vet said, gee, let's put him on, we put him on mashed potatoes and chicken to see if he got into, he's like, maybe he got into something in the yard, and it's making him really sick. By Tuesday, he wasn't any better. I took him to get a second opinion. That vet explained to me that he was showing signs of a disease called megaesophagus, which is very rare. They explained to me that they could do the test, but the test in itself was dangerous because they actually inject a barium fluid into the dog's, down the dog's esophagus to see if the esophagus is functioning properly. So I left him that day, went and picked him up the next morning.
And the point of finding out would be what?
Because if it's
correct it with
megaesophagus,
surgery?
there is no surgery for megaesophagus.
So what would be the point of finding out?
If it was something else,
If you ruled it out, you
if
could
I ruled it
explore
out,
something else that might have a
look at other
solution.
things. We could say, okay, is it soft palate?
Right.
Is it something else?
Okay.
When I went that next morning, my vet, who I've known for 25 years, told me, he's like, it's not good. And I'm like, well, you know, I said, you know me, I'm going to try. He's like, I'm telling you right now. He's like, he's not going to make it. And I said, well, why? Why? How can this be? And he explained to me that the esophagus goes through their heart. It's supposed to work like a tube, like a muscle, a tube, and push the food down. Well, Steve's, and you can see it on the x-ray, had like a sac and another sac, so the food would go down, but then it would like sour, so he'd vomit it up. So he ended up losing 6 pounds. So that day, I called Chris when I left the vet, crying, hysterical.
Now, this is now in March, so we're
is in
talking
March.
about month 8?
Yep,
Okay.
and I have the copy of my cell phone bill and her toll-free number. I said, Chris, you know, I just left the vet. And she's like, we'll get the surgery. I'm like, there isn't a surgery. I said, you know, she's like, oh, I've never heard of it. And I said, well, can you talk to your vet? I'll talk to my vet. I'll go to the second vet I have. I said, and let's all try and get on the same page and do whatever we have to do to save this dog. I said, I don't care what we have to do. We'll save the dog. She said, yep, call me in a couple days. I called her on Sunday, and then I got, yeah, this is what I get for trying to help a friend. He wasn't even my dog. I'm like, what? Yeah, he wasn't my puppy. I was selling him for a friend. Okay, I'm like, you never told me that. I bought from Chris Clark because she was Chris Clark, because she had beautiful dogs, because she didn't have genetic diseases, because she was so...
Well, I mean, nobody designs a genetic disease in the dog. I mean, I guess
Of
you could
course
find
not.
out that one of the sires, or, you know, or
Of course.
studs or moms or dads, that one of the moms
Exactly.
or dads has a disease and not breed that dog, right?
Well, that's what you're supposed to do, and that
Right.
was why the vet had asked me to contact her as soon as possible, because the puppies, the other puppies in this litter, those owners needed to be notified as soon as possible.
So you call her and you tell her that, and
Yep.
tell me why do you have a video you wanted me to see, or the x-rays? Is that the x-rays?
Those are the x-rays.
Can I see them?
Now, do you want me to kind of show you what you're looking
Yeah,
at?
I do. Can you come forward?
Okay, so this is his stomach, and this is his
Where's
esophagus.
the, like, can you tell me where the dog
Okay,
is?
this is his head, this is his neck up here.
Okay.
Okay, this is his body, this is
Okay.
his stomach.
Okay.
Here's the esophagus. You can see these saccles in it. See them?
Uh-huh.
This is supposed to be a small, small, thin line
Okay.
that goes down to the stomach. See how thin it is? How thin it gets?
It's supposed to be thin, and on the dog, on this dog, it's what?
It's very thick.
What happens to the food if it doesn't get pushed down?
Sours.
It sours in the dog?
And then he throws up.
All right.
So the treatment we tried was the doctor gave us some websites to try, because there are dogs that have megaesophagus to different degrees. Some have it so that you can control it and you elevate their food dish and whatever. Steve's case was so severe that we had to do like a stand. Here's a picture of the stand.
A stand for the dog?
Stand for the dog.
So that the dog would be on its hind legs?
We would invert the dog into the stand, make him stand up, put his 2 front feet, lock him in it. I had to feed him in this stand 4 to 6 times a day. Anything that he took in his mouth had to be given to him in this
How
stand.
long did we do this?
I did this for 6 weeks.
And then?
Eventually what happened was Steve's esophagus became so bad that we weren't nourishing him. He was getting food, but he was choking on his own mucus at night.
Oh, my Lord.
So
How
my
long
husband
did we
and
go on
I-
with this before? I mean,
My husband and I would take turns and get up with him, and my husband would hold him in his arms like this, and we'd pat to get the mucus to go down. The last day he was with us, he started vomiting at 3:30 in the morning. We called the vet at 9 and said, I can't do this to him anymore.
Who made the decision finally to take this animal out of its misery?
We both did.
Did the vet urge you guys that this was sort of enough?
Well, you know, he said it's a question of quality of life for everyone. Now, I have Steve's medications.
Okay, you ended up incurring $3,500 for the cost of the dog.
Yep.
And the cost of your vet treatments. Will you please hand over the vet bills to Douglas?
Yep.
Talk to me. What is this about? It's not your dog.
When she called me to ask me if I had any dogs, I said, I don't have any, but I have some that are at my house that were there because the lady that bred them and owned them sent them up to me to critique them for a better show dog.
How would she know that if she's buying from you? You
Because
say you
I
told
said
her.
to
Is
her-
it written anywhere? Because the contract is between you and her. Do you have a different contract?
No, it isn't. And the reason why, because she paid in cash, and that's why I left my name on it, because I think I could not, in good faith, take that
Well,
much
I mean,
money.
but you could understand where it might be hard for me to believe that you told her they were somebody else's dog when you're the one selling it, you're the one advertising. Your
No,
house
I
is where-
don't advertise.
Shh. Your house is where she goes to. You have a website. She calls you based on the website. You tell her, I've got dogs for sale. You sell it to her, and your name is on it, and you're the person. Did you write a check or give cash?
I gave her cash.
That much?
Yep.
Okay. That much cash, and there's not even, the other person is nowhere near this. This is you.
When she came to my house to see the dogs, I said to her, when she looked at all the
All right,
dogs.
watch this. Did she say that to you?
No, she did
Okay.
not.
All right. So in any event, you sold the dog. That's where we are.
Okay.
You're stuck with it. So now
Okay,
talk to
all
me.
right. So when she called me, I said to her, I was very apologetic. I said, but I didn't breed the dog. I didn't own the dog. Look on your AKC papers. I sent her a copy of the
And
checks.
on the AKC papers, it has the other person's name.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
That is
But
accurate.
that's after the sale, but I
what
understand.
I'd like to say
But that's accurate.
is
Okay.
that I did get this paperwork.
All right, you guys, we're getting bogged down on something I don't care about. As far as I'm concerned, you sold the dog. I don't really care who bred the dog. I care who sold the dog. That's all I
Right.
care about. The question I have in front of me is, this ended up being a really trying experience, and I am very sorry. Lord knows, if I ever had something wrong with me, I'd want you on my side.
Thank you.
Because you are relentlessly, enthusiastically, you don't give up.
Well, I have to tell you, there's a happy ending to this story because
so?
the
Give me a happy
breeding
ending, 'cause I'm
breeding
suffering.
community is very tight knit. Chris knows that. After all of this happened and Stevie died, I kind of made it my mission to try and find the other people that owned these puppies because I felt they had a right to know. Chris would not help me on that. She stopped talking to me. She wouldn't even answer my calls. I got in contact with a bunch of different people. A local breeder heard our story and felt so bad for us and the trauma of what had happened to Stevie. They called and they gave us a puppy.
Okay. What kind of puppy?
A bulldog. He's special. He's not show quality. He's a little guy. He's always going to be a little guy. But my husband had to build a ramp so he can go up and down the stairs. And we took him.
Okay. He's doing okay?
He's doing great.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm very happy to hear that.
With all the health problems, would you buy a bulldog?
Absolutely. They're the best kind of dog.
They're really great dogs, but they have a lot of health problems.
I would not buy one.
Because?
They just look very scary.
They're scary. They're actually really sweet. But would you buy a dog that has a lot of health problems?
Again, I think so. I would. Pretty much, there's health insurance policies for dogs now that you can get, and if you know you're getting a dog that has health problems, go for something like that.
You know what? I love that answer. Going inside the courtroom.
Folks, let me tell you what I have in front of me. I have in front of me a case that is we're done. As much emotion as is involved here. It's a contracts case, okay? And you have a pet lemon law in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I assume that as tenacious a woman as you has read the pet lemon law, right?
I did take a look at it.
Okay. And what does it say about how long you have to bring up a congenital defect?
I don't remember it saying anything about a congenital it was more in regards to if you buy a pet from a pet store.
She's a pet shop. A pet shop is defined as someone who gives animals for sale. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not going to worry about that. Let's assume she's
All
a
right.
pet shop. All right. How long do you have to discover a congenital defect?
I believe it said only 3 months.
It's actually 6. But either way, you're out of gas.
Okay.
Because it's beyond the time. Okay. Based on the law in your state, my hands are tied in
Can
this
she at
regard,
least be
and I
ordered
find
to-
in favor of the defendant. That's my ruling.
Go ahead.
Was the plaintiff coming out here? I wonder how you feel now. I wonder if you're happy, sad, or what about the outcome of this case?
Well, you know, we lost before we even came in here because Steve died. So what else is there to say?
Well, why'd you press forward? Was it money? Was it a matter of her reputation? Was it a matter of getting the word out? What
It
was
was so that somebody else won't have the same thing happen to them. You know, it's heartbreaking. It
It's
really
a sad
is.
story, but how's the other guy doing?
Oh, he's great. He's funny.
All right, good. All right, head right down this way. What was this about for you? Was this about money for you, or was this
No, it
about your reputation?
It was
Step
about
up
my
here.
it was about my reputation. I've been
Is it
breeding-
tarnished?
No, not at all. Because I'm a good dog breeder, and all I can say is that I did not honestly own the dog, and I did not breed the dog.
Yeah, we heard that.
But
you
it's the
sold the
truth.
dog.
But you know what you didn't hear? You didn't hear the fact that she seems like a real star. Of course, she was a wonderful person. She loved the dog. My sister's been doing this for 30 years. She gets up all night. She stays up. I mean, you can't believe that she's
I'm sure, but that doesn't bring Stevie back.
no.
Harvey?
Okay, you know, most states have pet lemon laws, and they vary from state to state, so you should really check before you make a commitment like this. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.